Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're tackling something that's pretty crucial these days: sustainability reporting and corporate responsibility.
Yeah, it's a hot topic right now.
Definitely. And we know you're probably studying for exams right now,
Oh my
so
gosh.
we're going to break it all down, help you ace those tests. And hey, even if you're not in school, this stuff is important for just understanding like how the business world is changing, being a responsible investor. It's all connected. And this deep dive is brought to you by Grade Guru. They've got practice exams, full summaries, all that good stuff over at gradeguru.nl. All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, it's fascinating how businesses are really being held accountable for more than just profits these days. Like, the world wants to know what's their impact on the planet. How are they treating their employees, the communities they operate in? It's a big shift.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so first things first, we got to decode some key terms. We hear CSR and ESG all the time,
Right.
but what do they actually mean?
Okay, so think of CSR, corporate social responsibility, like a company's commitment to operating ethically and contributing positively to society. It's kind of like their promise to be a good citizen, taking care of their employees, the environment, the communities they impact.
So it's not just about making money.
Yeah,
It's about making a positive impact too.
exactly. And CSR is built on three pillars: economic, social, and environmental responsibility. It's all about finding that sweet spot between profit people and the planet.
Gotcha. Okay, so then ESG, environmental, social, and governance,
Right.
that goes a step further.
Yeah, ESG zooms in on the specific factors we use to evaluate a company's sustainability performance.
So if CSR is the big picture,
Hmm,
ESG is like looking at the details.
precisely. Let's break it down with some real-world examples. So environmental factors consider a company's carbon footprint, waste management, resource conservation. Think about a fashion brand switching to sustainable materials or a tech company powering its data centers with renewable energy.
I see. Yeah, I'm starting to see how this all connects to like stuff we hear about in the news all the time.
Absolutely. Now, social factors look at how a company treats its employees, manages its supply chain, interacts with local communities. Think a company prioritizing fair wages and safe working conditions, or one that invests in community development projects.
It's like they're thinking about their impact on people at every level.
Exactly. And then governance that focuses on ethical leadership, transparency, and accountability. This could be things like having diverse board members, clear anti-corruption policies, or ensuring fair executive compensation.
So it's not just what a company does, but how it does it.
You got it. And here's a key takeaway, especially if you're studying for exams. Understanding CSR and ESG helps you analyze businesses critically. It's like having a superpower to see beyond the marketing and slogans and understand a company's true impact.
Okay, I love that analogy. Superpower. All right, so we've got CSR and ESG down. Now, how do companies actually show their work in all of this? Answer sustainability reporting right.
Right. Think of it as a company's way of being transparent about their ESG performance. It's their chance to really showcase their initiatives, track their progress, and be accountable to their stakeholders.
Okay, but like, why bother? Does anyone actually read these reports?
Oh, more and more people are paying attention, and for good reason. Consumers are more conscious of the brands they support these days. Investors are looking for companies with strong ESG performance. Employees want to work for organizations that align with their values.
So it's not just a checkbox. It's about meeting the expectations of everyone who's invested in a company's success, whether that's like financially or just, as a consumer.
Yeah, and plus there's increasing regulations and global standards companies need to comply with. Sustainability reporting helps them stay ahead of the curve and avoid potential penalties.
So it's like knowing the rules of the game before you even step onto the field.
Exactly, and let's not forget the reputational boost that comes with strong sustainability performance. Companies that are genuinely committed to ESG principles can really enhance their brand image and attract customers, investors, and top talent.
It's like building a reputation for being a good corporate citizen.
Hmm.
Okay, so when we talk about sustainability reporting, there are a few key frameworks out there that you'll want to know for your exams, or just in general, really.
Absolutely. These frameworks provide a common language and a set of guidelines for companies to report on their sustainability efforts. Think of them like different ways of organizing and presenting information, kind of like using different citation styles for your research
Oh,
papers.
I get it. So it's about making sure everyone's speaking the same language.
Precisely. One of the most widely used frameworks is the Global Reporting Initiative, GRI for short. The GRI provides a really comprehensive set of standards for reporting on a huge range of ESG issues, from environmental performance to labor practices and human rights.
That sounds pretty comprehensive.
It is. And then we have the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, or SSB. SSB focuses more on industry-specific standards. It helps companies identify and report on the ESG factors that are most relevant to their sector.
So a tech company might report on data privacy and cybersecurity, while an energy company would focus on emissions and resource management.
Exactly. By tailoring the reporting to each industry, SSB aims to provide investors with the information they need to make those informed decisions. Another important framework is the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, or TCFD.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how these frameworks each have their own focus, their own purpose.
You got it. The TCFD specifically focuses on helping companies disclose the financial risks and opportunities they face related to climate change. This is becoming increasingly important as investors and regulators demand greater transparency about climate-related risks.
So it's like looking at how climate change could impact a company's bottom line.
Exactly. And then there's Integrated Reporting IR, which encourages companies to provide a more holistic view by connecting their financial and non-financial performance. It's all about showing how sustainability is integrated into their overall business strategy.
Okay, so we've got GRI, SSB, TCFD, and IR. Definitely some acronyms to remember.
You'll want to be familiar with the purpose and key features of each framework. Don't worry, you don't need to memorize every single detail, but understanding the big picture will definitely help you on those exams.
This is a lot of information, but it's super helpful to have it all laid out like this. I'm curious, though, what are some real-world examples of these frameworks in action?
Let's take Unilever, for example. They've been a leader in sustainability reporting for years, and they use the GRI framework to report on their progress across a wide range of ESG issues, from reducing their environmental footprint to promoting sustainable sourcing and improving the livelihoods of smallholder farmers.
Wow, that's impressive. It sounds like they're really trying to walk the talk.
They are. And then you have companies like Tesla who are using the SSB framework to report on their industry-specific sustainability performance, focusing on things like battery technology, energy efficiency, and responsible sourcing of materials.
So they're highlighting the ESG factors that matter most to their investors and stakeholders.
Exactly. And when it comes to the TCFD, more and more companies, especially those in sectors that are heavily impacted by climate change, are adopting its recommendations. For example, a lot of energy companies are now disclosing their plans for transitioning to renewable energy sources and managing climate-related risks.
It's like they're acknowledging that climate change is not just an environmental issue, but a financial one, too.
Precisely. And as awareness of ESG issues continues to grow, we can expect to see even more companies embracing these reporting frameworks and taking concrete steps to improve their sustainability performance.
So it's not just about ticking boxes, it's about actually making a difference.
Exactly. And that's why understanding these concepts is so crucial, not just for your exams, but for navigating this increasingly complex world of business and making informed decisions as consumers, investors, and future leaders. Yeah, and speaking of making a difference, Europe's really been taking the lead when it comes to pushing for more transparency and accountability and sustainability reporting.
Yeah, I've heard a bit about the European Union's efforts there. Can you tell us more about what they're doing?
Absolutely. One of the key initiatives is the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, or CSRD. It's set to replace the older non-financial reporting directive, NFRD, and it really expands the scope of companies that are required to report on their sustainability performance.
So more companies will have to show their work, so to speak.
Exactly. The CSRD aims to make sustainability reporting more comprehensive, more standardized, and more reliable. It requires companies to disclose information on a wider range of ESG issues, including their impacts on human rights, biodiversity, and climate change.
That sounds like a big step towards more transparency. What's the thinking behind these stricter reporting requirements?
Well, one key driver is the increasing demand for reliable ESG information from investors. They want to be able to assess the sustainability performance of companies accurately, so they can make informed investment decisions.
Makes sense. Investors want to know that their money is supporting businesses that are contributing to a sustainable future.
Right. And the CSRD also aims to level the playing field for companies, ensuring that sustainability reporting is more consistent, more comparable across different industries and countries. This will help to prevent greenwashing.
Greenwashing.
Yeah, where companies try to exaggerate their sustainability efforts to appear more environmentally or socially responsible than they actually are.
Got it. So it's like setting clear rules of the game to make sure everyone is playing fair.
Precisely. And the CSRD is just one piece of the puzzle. The European Union has a broader sustainability sustainability agenda known as the European Green Deal, which sets some pretty ambitious goals for making Europe climate neutral by 2050.
Wow, that's a huge undertaking. How does the Green Deal connect to sustainability reporting?
Well, the Green Deal is driving a lot of policy changes and investments that will require companies to adapt their operations and strategies. For example, there are stricter regulations on carbon emissions, incentives for renewable energy, and targets for waste reduction and circular economy practices.
So companies need to be able to demonstrate how they're contributing to these broader sustainability goals.
Exactly. Sustainability reporting becomes a crucial tool for companies to track their progress, demonstrate their commitment to the Green Deal, and attract investors who are looking for businesses that are aligned with a sustainable future.
I see these initiatives are all interconnected.
They are, and while the European Union is leading the way, there are also global initiatives like the UN Global Compact that encourage companies to adopt sustainable and socially responsible policies.
Wow, the UN Global Compact. Can you tell us a bit more about that one?
Sure. The UN Global Compact's a voluntary initiative that calls on businesses to align their operations and strategies with 10 universally accepted principles in the areas of human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption.
So it's like a global framework for responsible business practices.
Exactly. It provides a common platform for companies all around the world to demonstrate their commitment to sustainability, engage in dialogue and collaboration, and contribute to the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
It sounds like there's a real global movement toward greater corporate responsibility.
There is. And while there are certainly challenges in implementing these initiatives, it's encouraging to see businesses, governments, and international organizations working together to create a more sustainable future.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground on frameworks and initiatives, but let's zoom back in on the content of sustainability reports. What specific topics do companies actually report on?
Great question. Sustainability reports typically cover a wide range of topics, aligning with the three pillars of CSR and the key ESG factors we talked about earlier. It's helpful to think of it like this. A report acts as a window into a company's soul, revealing its values, its commitments, and its actions.
Oh, I like that. So what are some of the key areas that these reports shed light on?
Well, in the environmental realm, companies often report on their efforts to reduce their environmental footprint. This could include information on their greenhouse gas emissions, energy consumption, water usage, waste management practices, and initiatives to protect biodiversity. For instance, a company might highlight its investments in renewable energy, its efforts to reduce packaging waste, or its programs to conserve water.
So it's about showcasing concrete actions to minimize their impact on the planet.
Exactly. And then there's the social dimension. Here, companies typically report on their policies and practices related to human rights, labor standards, diversity and inclusion, community engagement, and responsible sourcing. They might highlight things like their efforts to ensure fair wages and safe working conditions for their employees, programs to promote diversity and inclusion in the workplace, or initiatives to support local communities.
It's like they're demonstrating how they're treating their employees, their suppliers, and the communities they operate in.
Precisely. And finally, when it comes to governance, companies often report on their corporate governance structures, their ethical codes of conduct, their anti-corruption measures, and their efforts to ensure transparency and accountability. For example, they might disclose information about the diversity of their board of directors, their policies for preventing conflicts of interest, or their whistleblower protection mechanisms.
So it's about highlighting the systems and processes they have in place to ensure responsible and ethical business practices.
You got it. And while the specific content of sustainability reports may vary depending on the company, the industry, and the reporting framework used, these core areas, environment, social, and governance, provide a common thread.
This has been super helpful in understanding the scope of sustainability reporting, but I'm curious, why are companies so motivated to jump on this sustainability bandwagon? Is it purely altruism, or are there other factors at play?
Well, altruism certainly plays a role for some companies,
Yeah.
driven by a genuine desire to do good for the planet and society. But it's important to recognize that sustainability is increasingly becoming a smart business strategy as well.
So there are tangible benefits for companies that embrace sustainability.
Absolutely. For one thing, sustainability can be a powerful driver of innovation. As companies strive to reduce their environmental impact, improve social conditions, and enhance their governance practices, they often come up with creative solutions and new technologies that can give them a competitive edge.
I can see that. Necessity is the mother of invention, as they say.
Exactly. And as consumer preferences shift towards more sustainable products and services, companies that are ahead of the curve can tap into new markets and attract customers who are willing to pay a premium for environmentally and socially responsible offerings.
So it's not just about doing good, it's about doing well by doing good.
Precisely. And let's not forget about the growing importance of ESG investing. As more and more investors seek to align their portfolios with their values, companies with strong sustainability performance become much more attractive investment opportunities.
It's like a sustainability halo effect that attracts investors who want to make a positive impact with their money.
Right. And then there's the risk management aspect. By proactively addressing ESG issues, companies can mitigate potential risks related to climate change, resource scarcity, social unrest, and reputational damage.
It's like they're building a shield of resilience against future challenges.
Exactly. And as regulations and reporting requirements become more stringent, companies that have already embraced sustainability will be better positioned to comply and avoid potential penalties.
Sounds like a win-win. Companies that prioritize sustainability can enhance their brand reputation, attract investors, reduce risks, and even drive innovation.
You got it. And as awareness of ESG issues continues to grow, we can expect to see sustainability becoming even more deeply integrated into business strategies and operations.
So it's not just a trend, it's a fundamental shift in the way businesses operate.
Precisely. And understanding these dynamics is essential not only for acing your exams, but for navigating this rapidly evolving world of business and responsible investment.
This has been such an insightful deep dive into the world of sustainability reporting. I feel like I've gone from sustainability novice to semi-pro in just under an hour. But before we wrap up, I'm curious about the challenges companies face in this journey. It can't all be smooth sailing, right?
You're absolutely right. While the benefits of sustainability are clear, there are definitely challenges and complexities that companies need to navigate.
All right, let's delve into those challenges then. What are some of the hurdles that companies encounter as they try to implement sustainability practices and report on their progress?
One of the biggest challenges is data collection and management. Just imagine trying to gather consistent and reliable data on all these different ESG factors from different departments, suppliers, and locations all around the world. It can be a logistical nightmare.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. It's like trying to piece together a giant puzzle,
Oh,
but the pieces are scattered all over the globe.
exactly. And then on top of that, you have the issue of standardization. With so many different reporting frameworks and metrics out there, it's really hard to compare apples to oranges when you're trying to assess the sustainability performance of different companies.
Yeah, it's almost like trying to have a conversation, but everyone's speaking a different language. How can we make sure everyone is speaking the same language when it comes to sustainability reporting?
Well, that's a key challenge that organizations like the GRI, SSB, and TCFD are really trying to address, by developing clear and consistent standards. But it's definitely an ongoing process. There's still a lot of work to be done to really harmonize these reporting practices.
I see. So data and standardization, those are definitely big hurdles. Are there any other challenges that companies face in this whole sustainability journey?
Well, implementing sustainability initiatives, it often requires significant investments, in new technologies, processes, and training. For example, switching to renewable energy sources, reducing waste, or improving supply chain transparency. These things can involve upfront costs that some companies, especially smaller ones, might really struggle with.
So sustainability comes with a price tag. But I guess you could argue that the cost of inaction is far greater in the long run, right?
Yeah. Precisely. And then there's always the risk of greenwashing, where companies might exaggerate their sustainability efforts just to look good, to improve their public image without actually making any real changes. This can be really misleading to consumers, investors, and even employees who are looking for companies that are genuinely committed to sustainability.
Right. So it's important to be able to tell the difference between real sustainability efforts and just marketing spin. What are some red flags that we should look out for when we're evaluating a company's sustainability claims?
That's a great question. One red flag is a lack of specific and measurable targets. If a company makes vague claims about being eco-friendly or socially responsible, but they don't actually provide any concrete data or timelines, that could be a sign that they're not really serious about sustainability.
Okay, so look for concrete evidence, not just slogans.
Exactly. Another red flag is a focus on single-issue initiatives, but they don't address the broader context of their operations. Like, say a company might make a big deal about their recycling program, but they ignore their massive carbon emissions from their manufacturing processes.
Yeah, so it's about looking at the big picture, right? Seeing if their actions actually match their words.
Right. And finally, be wary of companies that rely heavily on third-party certifications or labels, but they don't really provide any transparency about the standards behind those certifications.
So it's like getting a gold star, but you don't even know what you did to earn it.
Exactly. It's crucial to dig deeper, look for evidence that companies are actually walking the talk.
Well, this has been a seriously eye-opening deep dive into the world of sustainability reporting and corporate responsibility.
Mm.
I feel like I've gone from sustainability novice to at least semi-pro in just under an hour.
Well, it's been great sharing these insights with you. And remember, everyone, knowledge is power, and understanding these concepts, it's going to equip you to make a positive impact in the world, both in your studies and your careers and just in life in general.
And don't forget, you can find practice exams and a full summary of all this stuff, all this fascinating stuff, over at greatguru.nl. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of sustainability reporting and corporate responsibility. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged in creating a more sustainable future for all of us.